Live with Mr. Jorge Sawa. I am so happy to have you here at our Juju Live Session. You are our special guest to speak about Egyptian music and musicality, two themes that Oriental dancers of all levels either love or should love. So I want to thank you, first of all, for being here. I want to welcome everyone to join us. We will be answering questions that we've already received, but I'm going to keep an eye on the comments. And if someone has a question, you can throw it at us live. Take full advantage of Mr. Jorge's presence and shoot the questions that you feel are interesting at us. And at the end, we have a very special invitation for you. So guys, stay until the end, okay? Before we launch the questions and we answer them, I want to offer you the time to introduce yourself in your own words. We all know you are a professional Egyptian-born musician and scholar and teacher and beautiful author. You've been collaborating with dancers and pedagogy for dance and musicality for a long time, but I always like to know how an artist sees himself from your own words. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you fell in love with Egyptian music?
Well, I was lucky to be born in Egypt in 1947, Alexandria, and I was surrounded by a lot of love and a lot of music. My mother had a beautiful voice. My nanny from Nubia had a gorgeous voice. I left my mother bed and went and slept with Halima, my nanny. I was 3 years old because she sang for me.
Oh, what did she sing for you? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, the songs of Farid al-Atrash, Shukuku, especially one song of Shukuku. الواد زعبولة ولولا بيخافوا مني والبنت اللولا راح تتجوزني وصلي صلي صلي على بيصلي شتسو. And I would say, Halima, Lola, I want to hear Lola. I adore Halima.
Oh my God. Oh, I can only imagine.
My mother played piano by ear. So that's how I started my whole career, studying piano and then studying Anun, and then immigrating to Canada to do more studies in Arabic music, the whole history of Arabic music. Because Canada is a rich country, you have big libraries, and you have all kind of European writings on music. Italian, French, German, and, of course, Henry George Farmer in English. So you have all the stuff that we don't have in Egypt that helped me study old Arabic music to see the root of where the maqam came from, the iqa came from, the instrument, the aesthetics of performance. Never play the same piece twice the same way. Always be creative in your performance. Even the dancer, they tell dancers, be creative in your dance. Don't stick to a choreography. Same thing.
Yes. Just out of curiosity, what is the happiest memory you have from your childhood in Iskandaria, in Alexandria?
Being in the Mahat, the institute, and having 4 wonderful old teachers who were very poor financially, but very generous with their knowledge. And they called the last generation of old Qanun players. This was the most beautiful time of my life, learning from them.
I understand. Yeah, I can imagine. Beautiful, Mr. George. So we're going to jump right in. We have a lot of questions. I am going to apologize for not being able to address all the questions. We received so much more than I was expecting, but we promised to answer them in an event that we're going to promote at the end of this live session. So please stay until the end. And we promise to address the questions that we don't answer now in the event that we're about to announce, okay? But let's go. I'm going to start reading what we have here.
Sure.
And the first question is, I think, a very basic one, but one that a lot of dancers and teachers don't even consider. What is the best or what are the best Egyptian singers for Oriental dancers, or the singers that every Oriental dancer must know about? What must be in your curriculum as an Oriental dancer in terms of the singers? What do you think?
Well, definitely, if you think about the music of the 50s, then you have the wonderful Farid al-Atrash, composed wonderful dance music and songs for Samia Gamal. And for some reason, he's not as much used as Abdul Halim or Kulthum, probably because Suhair Zaki popularized the introduction to Kulthum songs, and people got to know them better than the older generation of the 50s. And of course, Abdul Halim Hafiz, because a lot of dancers danced to the songs he sang. He's not a composer, but he's a singer. Then, of course, Abdul Wahab. If you're lucky, you dance to his songs from the 20s. They're so
Yes.
beautiful, but people don't know how to dance to them. But they dance to his songs composed later on for Kulthum and Abdul Halim. And of course, the one he did for Naima Akif, the famous Aziza. This is a
Mhm,
masterpiece of Abdul Wahab. Very, very
mhm.
complicated, actually, but in a nice rondo form.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. And of course, Kulthum, but dance to Kulthum lyrics is very difficult.
Yeah,
You have to understand the words, you have to understand the inner meaning of the music. It's not easy. Easier to dance to the introduction, the instrumental introduction,
yeah, yeah.
than the song proper.
I usually tell my students dancing to Kulthum, it's like an university. And with different levels, like, dealing with the instrumental is hard enough because it is so intricate, but then the lyrics. So you have to upgrade yourself
Yes,
as a listener, as an interpreter, as a
yeah,
dancer, as a storyteller. It's a completely different level, dancing the lyrics, especially in Kulthum, where the poetry
yes,
is so strong. And I always tell them, if you want to go into Kulthum, you go into university, really. I mean, if you take it seriously, if you really want to honor the music,
yeah,
and instead of imposing your movements upon the music, you're really interested in working with the music. Oh my
yeah.
God, you're going to have an education there,
And
just listening and then being able to dance to it.
just remind them that every time Kulthum was giving a new song, she spent 2 months of rehearsal with her band, and her band was the best of the best.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is very sophisticated art music. It's not easy stuff, but it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What I tell my students also, for the sake of training, I tell them go on YouTube and see the concerts. They have the live concerts in Rotana Zaman
Yeah.
from Kulthum and her orchestra, and watch the musicians. Don't watch just Kulthum. Watch the musicians, what they're doing, how they're doing, the pauses, the dialogues, the tutti. Watch as if they were dancers. Watch these musicians as if they were dancers. You're gonna learn so much about musicality,
Yeah.
about interpretation. It's really amazing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, in the event that we will announce, we're gonna go even further in terms of singers, composers, and poets that every Oriental dancer must know about. How about that? Now, another question. How do I dance rhythm, melody, and lyrics? You want to go for it?
Okay. I'm not a dancer, but it's really very important to understand the rhythm and, of course, the lyrics. When it comes to the lyrics, don't get the gist of the song. Don't get the translation of the song only. Get to know what every word means, because the word order in English and in Arabic are different. So you may be dancing to the wrong word. Get every word, see what it means in English or in Portuguese or Spanish. That's the lyrics. The rhythm, you're doing many different level of rhythm. There is the beat, the number of beat, like the Masmoudi is 4 beats. tum pum pa pum pa pa. That's what you call the meter, four beats. The rhythmic mode, the iqa, means something more than the number of beats. How you organize the beats. Dum dum rest tak dum rest tak rest. That's what you call a mode. On top of this, you have the rhythm of the melody. So not only you have the meter, 4 beats, you have the rhythmic mode, how to organize the durations, and timbre, loud beat, dum, soft beat, tak, and the space in between, but also the rhythm of the melodies. So you're dancing 3 levels. This is the rhythm of the melody, which is different from the rhythm of the drum. Plus the lyrics. So you have 4 things to dance to at the same time. It's tough.
I think, also dancers don't rely enough on their ears and on their sensibility. Sometimes they worry too much about the theory. And although the theory is important, especially if you're a teacher, of course, you have to know the theory. But when you're actually dancing, when you're doing it, use your ear. I tell this to my students, because if we overcomplicate, we start thinking too much. And when you think too much, you cannot listen and connect emotionally to the music, which is in the end what Egyptian dance is actually going to ask for. So, I can have all the information in my brain and know the structure of a rhythm, know how the melody goes, know what the lyrics are saying. I can even be Arabic speaking, right? I can speak Arabic and understand everything automatically. But if I'm not connecting emotionally, if I'm not allowing my instinct and my ear to do some of the work, something will be missing.
Yeah. I always tell dancers, your ear is your best teacher.
Yes.
Your ear is your best teacher.
Yeah. But for some reason, dancers are not safe. They're not confident in their ear. They expect somebody to tell them what to do with the music, And I tell them, okay, yes, at some level, you need a teacher to tell you what to do with the music, but there is a level that is very personal. And you can develop it by simply becoming a better listener.
Yeah. And also watch a lot of dancers. Watch سامية جمال, تحية كاريوكا, نعيمة عاكف, سهير زكي, Fifi Abdo. They're all different in their style. They're all beautiful. And just pick a bit of each and make your own style.
Yeah, beautiful. I would also add here, in terms of lyrics, I separate dancing rhythm and melody from dancing lyrics, because as I mentioned in relation to Kulthum, dancing lyrics requires what I call subjective movement. Everything is so much more subjective.
Yeah.
With Maksum or Malfouf or Masmoudi or whatever rhythm you are working with, everything is clear, it's sharp. The information that the music is giving is very sharp.
Yes.
Dum tak tak dum tak dum tak tak dum tak. Okay, it's clear, it's objective. When you listen to the violin, the kamanga, or the accordion, or the oud, it's a little bit less objective, but it's still objective. Yani, la ri ra ri ra ra ri ra ri ra ri ra ra la ra ri ra ri ra ra. It's clear, yani clean, nidif. But the words are very subjective. How do you dance, Ya Habibi? How do you dance? There is no formula. There is no formula.
Just go like this, Habibi. Just hug your beloved.
Walking. But it's very personal. It's very personal.
Yes,
it's very emotional and very personal. Dancing lyrics is a completely different stage, in my opinion. Especially when the lyrics are good, and especially when the lyrics have a very predominant place in the musical piece, of course. But more about this later. Now, a big question that is the base of so much. What is musicality? How do you define musicality?
Musicality is a strange term that I'm not happy with. It should be how to appreciate music appreciation. Musicality means your gift as a musician. But what dancers need is not musicality, but music appreciation. I don't know who made that term popular, musicality. I think it is the wrong term. That's why my book is called Music Appreciation for Belly Dancer, not musicality. But anyway, if we say musicality, it will involve knowing the rhythm and in their many levels, the meter, the mode, and the rhythm, having a slight idea about the maqam. In North America, they make a very big issue out of it, and it's not necessary. What is necessary is to be able to know there is a shift from maqam to maqam, because that signals a new section in the dance, and that should impact how you design your dancing. Then have an idea about the music instrument used, whether they're folk, whether they're classical. Get to at least see all the instruments. Then the most important part is the musical form. And in my book, I discuss the musical form, how to analyze the music before you choreograph anything. That's the musical form, and it can be summarized as follows. If you're doing Mahmoud Reda dances, it's a juxtaposition of folk songs, song A, song B, song C, etc. If you do old belly dance, it's a very sophisticated composition. They are a series of melodies with different rhythm, like دخلة العوالم, the entrance of the Alma. Start with the waltz, مسمودي كبير, مسمودي صغير, أيوب, مسمودي صغير, شفت تالي, أيوب, أيوب. 3 minutes, you have like 7 different rhythms. It's very rich. Who composed it? We don't know. The same thing if you're going to dance to Alf Leila Ulela, it's a juxtaposition of disparate pieces. Or for example, the other Kulthum song that people dance to, the name will come in a second. Again, they are juxtaposition of parts. And the drum tells you there is a new section, or the change in maqam tells you there is a new section, or a change in tempo. There's so many factors that give you a hint, and then you have to choreograph. But you must understand the musical form.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with dancer explaining the musical form.
And you know something else, when I think about musicality, I always remember Mahmoud Reda, because he used to tell me while I was studying with him and working with him, all the years I was performing in Cairo, I was also with him. And we would sit down in his studio to listen. He had this old bobine, you know, this old thing from the Reda troupe, and he used to show me music I never saw recorded outside of his studio, including a lot of material from Ali Ismail.
Oh, yes.
Whom he absolutely loved, of course.
Yes.
Ali Ismail
Very,
was
very
a
good
genius.
man.
Yeah, absolute genius. And we would just listen to music, a lot of Abdul Wahab, because he loved Abdul Wahab, but mostly Ali Ismail. Yeah. And we would spend hours just listening because we loved the music. What I find that is often lacking in musicality is the love for the music. Dancers are so obsessed with movement, they jump right into, what do I do with this? How do I move? What steps do I do? You know, like, let's put it into action. But I say, okay, yani, shwaya, relax. Listen, enjoy. If you are not moved when you are listening, you will not move me when you're dancing.
Yeah. And often I tell dancers, let the music tell you what to do. Your ear and the music tell you what to do.
Yeah, the music is guiding you, but you have to allow it to guide you. And you have to pay attention to it, and you actually have to love it, respect it. And then it guides you. It's your safety net. It's really your safety net. When you don't know what to do, listen. Listen. So I always find that in musicality, there is a lack of love for music. There is a lot of love for the movement.
Yes.
But not enough love for the music. And when I mean love, I also mean respect.
Yeah, good for you.
Okay, because when you respect the music,
Yeah.
your relationship with the music changes and it serves you more and better.
You see, the problem with North American dancers, they start the wrong way. They start to the dance, then go to the music. In Egypt, they hear the music all the time. So it's already there. They don't need to study it. And then they dance. But I tell the dancers, understand the music, listen to the music,
Yes,
understand
absolutely.
it. Then you become a better dancer.
Absolutely. Okay. I have a few comments that I want to read, but before I read those comments to you, let me throw another question at you. This one is specific for you. What, in your words, is a maqam?
Okay, it's a complex of things. It can be a scale, that's the most basic level. It can be a mode, a scale like C major or C minor, a mode like major or minor. It's also bits and pieces of short segments of music that define this is maqam rast, this is maqam bayati. So every maqam has a set of beautiful segment and cadences, qafla. How do you finish your taqsim? How do you finish your maqam? And every maqam has a set of qaflat or cadences. So these are melodic movements, meaning how do you go up and go down or repeat, like the sort of standard step, skip, repeat. These are the melodic movement. And then the cadences. And then each maqam can go to other maqam, can modulate.
Once again, what I'm going to ask you to do, Mr. George, if you agree, is in the event we're going to announce, we're going to give them a few examples. Because sometimes what I feel is that even dancers understand the concept, but in order to use the concept, they need to have examples. They need to be able to identify it in the music.
Excellent,
So we're
excellent.
going to have the chance to do that
For
very soon.
example, if you want to know Bayati, think of the Zaffa. مختارة حلوة زين, that's Bayati. So if you have that in your mind, you hear another piece in Bayati, you can make connections. So this is also Bayati.
Okay, so the next question is related with this one. Is there a way to more easily understand and predict mechanics, just like we can easily lean and recognize rhythms in percussion, which makes it easier to dance to?
Only if you listen to songs in a particular maqam and then transfer this knowledge to another piece. And then you know this is also in the same maqam. But don't fret too much about the maqam. People here, they sell workshops and they go into great lengths about maqam. It's not necessary. Only thing that is important is to shift from maqam to maqam, because that signals a new section. And don't think of a maqam being sad, a maqam being happy. It's what you do with it. I can make the maqam Sawa happy, I can make it sad.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a stupid idea
Yeah.
that has been propagated in the 9th century by Al-Kindi in Baghdad and based on ancient Greek writing that is equally faulty. And it still prevails today, unfortunately.
Before we go to the next question, I have a greeting for you from Tamara. She says, "Hi, George. So great to see you. I'm from Habiba's Ensemble in Toronto. I know your work well. You are famous for your musical genius and your wonderful personality."
Thank you, Samara. I love you too.
I had to deliver the greeting because I thought it was so sweet.
Very
Okay.
sweet.
Guys, once again, feel welcome to share your questions if you have some. We're fully packed with questions. And as I mentioned, I couldn't include them all in this live session. But if you are watching us live and you want to pop a question around Egyptian music and musicality, go for it, okay? I read and we will try to answer within the time frame we have. So next question is, what makes a musically talented dancer? If you were a judge at a dance event and you had to choose the dancer with the best musicality, what in particular would you look for?
before musicality, you have to enjoy dancing. You have to be happy on stage. Remember what Suhair Zaki said about dancing is the body's way to smile. That's Suhair Zaki. It's a beautiful
Oh,
thing.
she did.
She said
I
that.
didn't know. I never heard that. Oh,
I
that's
heard in an
beautiful.
interview. So beautiful.
Oh,
Then it
yeah.
shows. I mean, if you dance and don't understand the music, I know immediately that you're not aware of the rhythm. You're not aware of the feeling of the music,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not aware of the lyrics. Like I work as a judge in many competitions. I said, I'm not a dancer, I'm a musician, and I'm going to talk from a musician point of view. And I always give bad marks to those who don't understand the music and high marks to those who understand it.
Yes, yes. Usually in competitions, one of the criteria is musicality. Well, not always,
Yeah.
but usually one of the criteria that dancers are judged on is musicality. The thing is, so often the judges don't know what musicality is. So if the judges are not clear on what musicality is, musicality starts to be something very basic, which is she following the music, is she out of the music, that's it. And musicality is so much more than that.
Yeah.
Musicality is the quality of your relationship with the music and what you can do with the music. So we're talking about creativity, we're talking about playfulness, we're talking about suggestion, of
Yes.
course. And a lot of these things work better if you're working with live music,
Yes.
and not so easy if you have a recorded
Yeah.
piece which cannot be moved. You cannot add anything, you cannot remove
Exactly.
anything, you cannot propose anything. It's easier to be better at musicality if you have a good orchestra with you, a good orchestra who likes you, who
Very
respects
important.
you. It's
Yeah.
very
Oh,
important.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who are paying attention to you, and who can get the cues and the ideas. Maybe I want to extend the taksim. Maybe I want a section that is a little bit faster. I want it faster. Maybe I'm adding a detail that was not originally in the music, and my tabal is gonna pick it up and it's gonna do it.
Yeah.
But you need a good orchestra with you.
Yes.
And when you do have that orchestra, great musicality is much more than just being in the music. It's really becoming a part of the music.
Yeah. This is why the Egyptian dancer had their own band.
Yeah,
The dancer is the boss. She pays them,
of
and they
course.
work for her, and they rehearse together. They know each other very well.
Of
Yeah,
course, of
that's
course.
important.
Yes. In terms of the relationship dancers have with musicians, I find that the most important thing, and the thing that allows you to have a good musicality, is above everything, aside from having professional musicians who are very good at what they do, of
Yeah,
course, it's the personal relationship between you and the dancer.
yeah.
So, the
Oh, yeah.
orchestra I had in Egypt for my shows was handpicked by me. And the best thing about them, aside from their musical qualities, is that they really loved me and I really loved them.
That's important.
So they did their best to please me, to make me
Good,
happy,
good, good.
because they liked me, because they
That's
respected
very
me, and
important.
I loved them and respected them so much. I knew that my work
Yeah,
depended so much on them. So there was this mutual respect and love. And
very
when
important.
this exists, you are, the limit is beyond heaven. Anything
Yeah,
can happen, everything can happen. It's really the best feeling in the world. But
yeah,
you need to have mutual respect. I've caught orchestras around the world in festivals who were not very happy to play for dancers. And that's a completely different condition.
yeah.
In fact, in some festivals, I've chosen to work with recorded music and not with the
Yes,
orchestra because they were not very good and they
yes,
were not very happy to play for dancers. So I say, no, 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 no. If they're not very good and if they're not happy to work with dancers, I would rather have a good, clean recording and I
yeah,
will be better.
absolutely.
So it depends on the respect and love musicians have for the
Yes.
dancer, and vice versa, of course, vice versa. The dancer must
Oh,
respect the musicians as well. It
oh,
goes
yeah.
the other way around. Okay. So, what are the musicians looking for, wanting from the dancer, either explicitly or secretly. So this is literally about live music.
Yeah.
I can repeat the question. Would you like me to
No,
repeat?
no, no, I understand. There has to be a beautiful mix between the dance and the music. The musician play, always look at the dancer, don't look at your instrument, look at the dancer. And make sure it's very organic. What you do is being translated by the body and the motion of the dancer. And if she does a good job, I'll be very happy. Especially if I play Taksim and she follows every note well, be very happy. And I always watch her. If she's tired, you want to stop, then she can turn around, give me her back so the audience does not see what she does and tell me, stop. Or change to another section, change to another maqam. So there's a lot of sign language on stage that the audience does not see, that the musician has to be aware of.
When I was performing in Egypt and even outside of Egypt with musicians who were not my band, I always felt like the orchestra was my immediate audience. If
Okay.
I was not able to catch the orchestra's eye, I was not gonna do a good job.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are my first audience, and they must be excited with me. They
Yeah.
must be enthusiastic. Oh my God, what's happening? They must be your first audience, your first fans. If they are in love with your dance and if they see you're really good at what you do, they're going to play so much better and they're going to be so much more focused and interested in creating the best possible result.
Yeah.
And if that relationship is not built, if the dancer is too focused on the audience, which actually happens, they forget about the musicians. And then again, we go back to the relationship. I mean, it is important to have musicians who respect you as a dancer, but it's also very important that you respect your musicians. Oh, otherwise, you're gonna disconnect from them. Your only focus is the audience, and there is an important link which is not there.
Very, very true. And often dancers say to me, you inspire us with your good music to dance nicely. And I said to them, your dancing nicely inspires me to make better
Exactly.
music. So we inspire
Exactly.
each other. And
It's the dialogue.
I'll send
Exactly.
you a short video of a competition for Claudia Khalida from she's from Haiti originally, but she lives in Montreal. And it was so organic. She inspired me, I inspired her. And every time I see this video, I almost cry from the beauty of the music and the dance. I'll send it to you.
Oh yes, please, please. And I will show it to our dancers in our upcoming event. That's a promise.
Excellent. Excellent.
Then there is another set of questions related with this one. Do the musicians want to be on your side? How to get them on your side?
Treat them with respect. Often people say, he's a musician. He's a drummer. He's the lowest of the low. It's not true because Egyptian music is very difficult, very, very subtle. The slightest wrong ornament ruins the music. It's that delicate. So treat the musician with respect.
Absolutely.
I was at a
And
conference. Yeah, I was at a conference once, and there were all kind of professors, and they asked me what I was doing, and I said to them, I do this and that, and I play for dancers. And at this time, I did not have a professor position, so it was bad. I said, okay, go your 10, 10, 10. As if 10, 10, 10 is easy.
yes,
So
yes.
stupid. Yeah.
I believe musicians, especially in Egypt, they're not treated as they should. And as you know, in Egypt, there are different categories of musicians.
Yeah.
The musicians who play for famous singers and popular people, then the musicians who record in studios, and then the musicians who play for dancers. So and there is this idea, for me, very wrong idea, that the musicians who play for dancers are not that professional. I totally disagree. I worked with musicians in studio, performing and recording my own music, and I worked for a long time with live music in Cairo. So the best musicians I've met were the ones who were playing for dance.
Because
The
it's
most experienced,
precise. It has to be precise. And
very precise,
yes.
versatile,
Yeah.
eclectic. They can work solo, they can work in dialogue, they can work together. They're very sharp. They have an
Shayateen.
incredible memory. I mean, they're
Shayateen.
masters,
They're devils.
absolute devils,
Yeah.
absolute
Also,
devils in the best possible way, you know. And I was always shocked when I saw people mistreating or disrespecting musicians, and I would not take it, not in front of me, not my musicians. I got into so many fights because people would not speak nicely to my musicians, and I wouldn't take it. I think that is not going to happen.
yeah.
Mishmaul. You're not going to talk down to my musicians, because in the end of the day, also, I think the dancer who works with live music, if she is really good at her job, she's working intimately with the music. So she's depending on the musician so much.
Yes.
So much. You know, I would say 50% of a live performance, a dance live performance, depends on the musicians. It doesn't depend on the dance, because I cannot dance something I'm not listening to. If the musicians are not very good, very sharp and سخن, يعني,
So,
warm, I cannot
yeah.
I cannot make things up. I cannot dance to bad music and make it
Oh my
shine.
God,
You
no,
know,
no, no, no.
I can't. So the better the musicians, the better the dancer can be.
Yes.
There is this dependency, this
Yes. Dependent.
codependency,
Yes.
and if you recognize it, you have nothing but respect for the musicians who work with you, because you know you depend on them.
Well, they not only have to be good musician, very precise, good technique, good feeling.
Absolutely.
Also, the music they play is a mix of classical music, classical Muhammad Ali street dance music, which is very subtle, folk music, and popular music. These are all different styles that combine together and create a show for you. Very,
Absolutely.
very talented people. And in one
Absolutely.
of my CD, I made a gift to Muhammad Ali street composers. I called it a tribute to Muhammad Ali street composers. They are phenomenal and nobody knows them. No history has been written about them. Anonymous. Yet they're phenomenal.
Just like in dance, you know, aside from technique, you need access, you need heart. And sometimes you find musicians who are very good technically, just as you find dancers who are very good technically, but something is missing. يعني في حاجة مش موجودة صح؟
صح.
Something is not there, something of essential, and that is the feeling, you know. I tell you a story. I had, for me, the best accordionist I've ever heard. His name is Mohammed Damanhouri, and he was working with his father in Beledi Afrah, and since he was a little
Fantastic.
kid. He did not know how to read or write music, but he did it by ear.
That's the best.
And at some point, he got sick. So I had to replace him for a while. And another accordionist, very well recommended and very good, technically very good, he came to replace him for a while he was in the Mustashfa. Okay. Everyone was saying, Juju, oh my God, this is going to be amazing because he's so strong. He has more technique than Mr. Damanhouri. I say, okay, but let me listen first. And then I draw my conclusions, okay? And indeed, he was better technically, and he was super professional. He was amazing, but
Missing.
no heart. No heart. I was dying. Really, I said, oh my God. Everybody's saying he's amazing, and he is amazing technically, but Fan,
No
Mr.
heart.
Damanhouri, where is my accordionist? Please bring him back. I don't feel it. No feeling.
You can play
Exactly
from the
as it
heart or
happens
from
to
your
dancers.
head. You can play from your heart or you can play from your head. It's a
Yes.
very nice story from Baghdad in the 9th century. A musician came to town and they said, oh, we want to introduce you to all the composers. So he listened to each one, then he said, this one is the best. He said, why? He said, all of you play from your head. He played from his heart. Beautiful.
Taban.
Beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. And you either have it or not.
Yes.
The first orchestra I worked with was Lebanese. I was in Beirut with a contract for a few months before I signed my first contract in Egypt. So they got me a superb orchestra, classical musician, singer, enormous orchestra. I was amazed, but cold.
Cold. Yeah. That's not.
Cold, but perfect. Musically, it was perfect. There was nothing I could say, there's a mistake here, or this is not right. I could not say anything about it because they did everything so perfect, but it was hard for me to dance because I could
Something
not
missing.
feel the heart in it. There
Yes.
was no heart in it.
Exactly.
So it is essential for musicians and also for dancers, because the same thing happens in dance. Sometimes dancers are so obsessed. More technique, more vocabulary, more knowledge, more theory, more everything, more workshops, more blah, 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 blah. I say,
And it doesn't work.
wait, yeah. Just, breathe, close your eyes, listen, and see how your heart is gonna lead you from there,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Oh,
Let
yeah.
the magic of Egyptian dance happen, and it
Yes.
can only happen through the heart.
And you have another saying about the finger. If you don't play from your heart, they say that your fingers are salty. Sabo malha. They don't have
أيوة.
sugar. They're salt. They're not good.
أيوة كده صح صح صح. It's beautiful, and it's so similar to dance. I mean, there are a lot of parallel things between musicians and
Oh,
dancers,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So one more question I have selected for this session. I love the oud. I would like to know what we have. What we have to consider, what are the fundamentals we have to consider as dancers when we dance to this instrument?
The single most fatal mistake dancers do when there is a plucked instrument, oud or kanun, they do shimmy. The plucked instrument have to do a lot of ferdage, brrr, to sustain the sound. It does not mean that your hip has to move to sustain that sound. Okay, this is the very common mistake dancers do. Then just follow the whole melody of the oud. Forget the technique of the oud. Forget the ferdage. Forget whatever. Just follow the melody, the sliding of the finger, the beauty. And some people play, and every plucking, there seems to be a drop of honey that comes out. That's so beautiful. Think of that. Look for the honey. Don't look for the salt.
Yes, yes. Okay, guys, more information on how to do the instruments, on how to dance the instruments in our webinar. We have amazing stuff coming. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with the questions and with the lack of answers. We're going to address all of this in different contexts. But in the end of the day, I will go back in regards to this question. I'll go back to the beginning, which is, instead of looking for answers outside and looking for formulas, I think people are frequently looking for a formula that works all the time. What do I do with tabla? What do I do with kamanga? What do I do with ney? What do I do? And there is no formula. There is, of course, there is common sense. Yani, I know that if I listen to the percussive set, tabla, the hola, dof, I mean, chances are I am going to have energetic, sharp, assertive, dry movement.
That's
It's
right.
common sense. It's common sense. Yeah, it's not a rule. Like, it's not, you cannot do it any other way. No, you can. Everything can be done if you make it work. But there is common sense.
Yes.
So if I listen to the kamanga and the violin, chances are my movement is going to be sleek and dramatic and passionate because the sound is asking for it.
Flowing more.
Yeah. But not because there is a rule, a formula that tells you when you hear the kamanga, you must do this. You must move like that. And I feel like sometimes dancers are searching for those formulas.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want you to tell them a formula they can follow. And the real adventure is to connect with the music and with the sound.
That's it. It's the
Min
music.
mazagik, Yani, from your own mood. Every day changes, If I listen to the violin today, I will dance it in a way. Tomorrow, my mood, my emotion, my day will be different. I will react differently. And this will be true. It will be spontaneous. It will be full of presence, reality, honesty.
Passion, yeah.
Exactly. As opposed to believing there are rules that I cannot break. And there are teachers who teach it like that. So when you listen to this instrument, this is what you do. When you listen to the anun, you're gonna go la 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 staccato or what? Yeah, maybe yes, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I would divide them. If you have tabla and other percussion instrument, that's often the drum solo or the doof solo or whatever. This is one style. The other is the instruments. Just follow the melody. And it's up to you to add small nuances if the melody is played by a violin, ney, or is played by a plucking instrument. So you have the sustained sound of the ney and violin, and you have the percussion, the plucking of the oud and the kanun. It's up to you, but there's no formula. I mean, if you ask Fifi Abdo, she said, "What formula? Makam, what makam? I just dance. Don't tell me makam. Don't bother me. I just dance."
Yeah. Sometimes I think we complicate. And if you are a teacher, I believe you must know these things. But if you're just enjoying your dance, if you are a dancer who's just enjoying it, I think people tend to exaggerate and they believe that theory is going to make them better dancers. That is not true. The same way as musicians who know a lot of theory are not necessarily great musicians, because you can know a lot of theory and then when it's time to execute, you're not that good. It happens the same with dance. You can know all the rhythms by heart, the mecan this, the mecan that, the structure, la 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 la, everything. And then I say, okay, show me how you dance. And it goes like wow, 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 wow. I say, so why so much information? For what, Yani? Fear. So information does not necessarily mean being a better dancer.
Yeah.
Although having information is good, it's useful, and especially if you're a professional, you must have it, of course. But it doesn't make you a better dancer necessarily.
No.
Okay, let me read the comments/questions we have here, because I promised our beautiful dancers that I would address their comments. So Joana says, that happened to me with a drummer. He was a Western classical percussionist and started to learn Oriental drumming. He was very good technically, but he didn't make me dance. Years later, I worked with him, and he's not a good person either. He only wanted to show off and shade even his musicians and colleagues. Oh my God. Any comment on this?
Fire him.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were talking about that, right? I mean, being good technically is so important, but then you need to have good people with you, and musicians who want to see you succeed, and whom you also want to see succeed. So then again, it goes back to what kind of personal relationship you have with your musicians. I remember that when I just arrived to my work, and we always made a little rehearsal before our shows just to keep it warm. Yes. The first thing I did was going musician by musician, shaking hands, looking into their eyes and saying, "ازيك يا أستاذ? ازيك يا أستاذ?" And they would pull a bench for me and say, "Juju, odd." Yes. And there was this respect, this courtesy, this reverence from me to them and from them to me.
Yes.
there was this mutual admiration and
Yeah.
mutual
Respect.
tenderness,
Yeah.
tenderness
Tenderness.
that made me want to dance well for them and made them want to play well for me.
In the end, Egyptian music and dance is all about love.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's all about
Yes,
love.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the choice of musicians is so important. And if
Yeah.
you have a musician who's not there with a heart and he doesn't want to be there for some reason, or he's not really happy dancing or creating for a dancer, creating music for a dancer, it's not a good match. This
That's
is
right.
what I was saying. You would be better off with recorded music in that case.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's better, it's safer as well,
Safe. Yeah. Yeah.
for
And you
sure.
see, the problem with drummers, it's not just playing a pattern and ornamenting a pattern, is how to play with the music. It's a dialogue with the music, and that's extremely difficult. And that's what people don't understand. They say, oh, I can play dum tak ta dum tak, and that's all I need to do. No, no.
Also, if they're working with a big orchestra, I always felt that the tabal specifically was of an incredible importance because he was the heartbeat of the orchestra.
Just hold them all together. Yeah.
Absolutely, he's the glue that brings everybody together. Even if the chief of the orchestra was not the tabal, very often he's not the tabal, someone from the melody, the accordionist or the org player or somebody who knows how to read and write. So the chief may be in the melody section. In reality, the one who glues everybody and creates the heartbeat of the music is the tabal. So if you don't have a very strong and loving tabal in your orchestra, it's sinking. It's gonna sink at some point, at some level, and you're not gonna have very strong, tight music to work with. And if you are a dancer who is actually paying attention to the music and that tightness is not there, it can drive you nuts.
That's right.
It can drive you nuts. Not
Oh,
a
yeah.
good experience.
In the old days, it was the tambourine that was the percussion, even for the dancers. And the
Yeah.
tambourine player was the leader. And he
Yes.
stood up, he didn't sit, he stood up, everybody could see him, and he's directing the orchestra. See? And
Yes.
Dabat al-Iqa, meaning the one who fixes the rhythm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so important. It's like the silent element. And when I say silent, it's because you don't think that's the one leading the music, but he is.
Yeah.
He's the one leading it. He's the one who's bringing everybody together in a cohesive body.
Cohesive, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And if it's not there, it's a
bad.
disaster.
It's bad.
It's a disaster, and it's really hard to deal with as a dancer. Okay, let me see. Noraya says, often seen in these days also in dance, technical good dancers, but no soul. Yeah, that's what we were saying, that the same thing that happens with musicians happens with dancers. We're so obsessed on technique. We're so obsessed on becoming, vocabulary masters and having all the shimmies and the jumps and the I don't know what. It's becoming so acrobatic. But the soul,
Where is the soul? ما فيش روح. فيش روح.
مش كده؟
Ah,
ما فيش.
فيش
And
روح.
I ask, why so much obsession? And I'm not saying technique is not important. When we think about the evolution of Raksi Sherki and we think about what foreigners have brought to this field, one of the good things that foreigners have brought, in my opinion, is the vocabulary and the choreography. Dancers like Soher Zeki, Nago Fuad, Asa Sharif, they did not know about choreography. They didn't care about choreography. Technique? Eda. ايه ده؟
They just
حاجة
dance.
غريبة دي تكنيك؟ يعني ايه؟ I don't understand what you're talking about. The concept of technique, of vocabulary, of choreography, of pedagogy, of structure in Egyptian dance is something very recent.
Yes.
And it's something that I consider essential
Yeah.
in the development of the dance and also in the respect people have for the dance.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if we get too hooked up on that, and if we forget where the dance is coming from, which is the heart, we get lost in movements and steps and choreographies and shimmies and more and more and more and more information. And then the soul is not there. The essential is not there.
What you said is the first step. Control and master the technique. That's not the end. That's the beginning. And once you master the technique, you can fly with the music or fly with the dance. That's what I do when I play Kanun. I'm not worried about technique anymore. It's finished. I have as much technique as I need. And then I fly over the music and I enjoy what I'm doing. If you think of what you're doing, you're going to ruin it.
Of course. In terms of learning rhythms, I do believe that if you are a non-native dancer, there is a phase of learning when you still have to think about the steps because they don't come natural to you.
That's right.
And your muscle memory has not retained them yet.
Yes.
You have not practiced this enough in order to just move and remember everything by heart, Yani, for the movements to flow out of you. But even when dancers have that muscle memory, what usually happens is that they're still hooked on thinking too much.
Yeah.
And worrying too much and wanting too much to impress.
Yeah.
Let me do something that will be impressive, that will, wow. And this is here. It's here. It's not here.
Exactly. And Egyptian music is all heart. It's all heart. Yeah.
But, well, we will explore this soon. I think it is so beautiful. And it also tells us a lot about the world we're living in, because I think, generally speaking, we've lost connection with heart. Ma fish what, yani? Bardo, ma fish what?
That's the problem.
There's no time. Who thinks about the heart, feeling, soul? What the hell are you talking about? Who has the time for that? Yalla, Besara. Let's do stuff. Yalla, time is short. The world we live in is a world where the heart is not allowed.
That's sad.
There's no space, no time. So, of course, dance ends up suffering as well. It's a reflection of the times, I think, as well. But we have to consider if it's worth recovering that.
Of course it is.
I think it is. Yeah, for sure. I think it is. So what we're going to do is we are going to close this session. I had prepared 1 hour because I did not want to give you too much right now. And I'm very happy to announce a webinar that we're doing together on the 17th of September on Egyptian music and musicality. We're going to go way deeper into these subjects with all of you. When you save your spot to the event, you have access to the live webinar with me and Mr. Jorge. So they're going to have the possibility of collaborating, asking questions, sending feedback, and being with us, co-creating this beautiful experience. They're also going to receive the recording of the webinar and some bonus resources, inspirations we're going to be sharing on Egyptian music and musicality. And of course, we're going to go way deeper into the subjects that we touched today. We're going to show a few images and clips and exemplify things that I find very important for dancers, aside from being entertaining. So
I have some music instrument ready for you.
Yes.
I play some music for you.
Woo! I did not know this, but I'm happy. Okay, guys, so this is a live announcement. Mr. Jorge will be with the Anun playing for us live. This is going to be amazing. And it's going to be the kind of experience I wish somebody had created for me when I was just a student. And I'm going to share the link for you to save your spot right after we close this session. I'm going to share it in the comments to the session. Wonderful. And of course, in the upcoming days, we're going to be promoting it normally. So you're going to end up knowing about it either in my social media or in the social media of Mr. Jorge. And I want to thank you for this beautiful collaboration. You bring a little bit of Egypt to my heart.
Thank you.
And although I feel I never left Egypt, because it lives Goya, and it lives inside me, it's always beautiful to have this Egyptian flavor nearby. It's beautiful. Thank you for this live session. Thank you for the students who sent us questions as well.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
And we will see each other soon at our webinar on the 17th of September. And keep your questions coming. If you have questions on what we covered, if you have new questions you want us to cover in the webinar, I cannot promise we're going to cover everything because there is a lot of material lined up already, but I promise we're going to do our best. So reach out to me, to Mr. Jorge, if you like, and share the questions you have around Egyptian music and musicality, and we promise to address them in our webinar, okay? Thank you. شكرا يا أستاذ.
You're welcome. تحت أمرك يا أختي. الأمور
Thank
أنت
you so
حلوة.
much for being here. Thank you for the students who were present, and we will see each other soon, okay? I'm going to say goodbye with a kiss,
Bye.
everybody, and see you soon.